You are listening to the Cattle Call Podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cattle Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. I am Jim, your overly caffeinated host, and with me, as always, is...
Good morning, it's Rocco. Didn't have enough coffee.
Gotta get him like mainline in some Java, man. That's the problem. You're too mellow, Rocco. We gotta get you like stressed and bouncing off walls. Yeah, be more like me.
Oh boy!
Can you imagine having two of us? We'd kill each other.
Yeah,
that's a good thing. Our personalities balance well. All right, so what are we talking about today? Oh, so I know what we're talking about today. We're talking about dashboarding, right? How to simplify project access. Yeah, this was a really good topic. Rocco suggested this, and it's a topic I have been racking my brain around for a few years now, right? You know, the idea of how do you effectively apply, graphic markup tools like Bluebeam Review or Visio to generate project control dashboards. All right, now look, the tools themselves, those packages, they have incredible functionality along these lines. I'm really, really comfortable with them. I know how to do it, and I've taught a lot of people how to use them. But what I've struggled with is the practical application of the concept. And I've been making poor Rocco crazy with this topic, right? In every single business planning discussion.
Just this topic?
Well, yeah, I make you crazy in general, but this one always comes up. Yeah, it's a fair statement, though. Every time we sit down to talk about business planning and where we're going to go and what new markets we want to move into, for years now, this is something that I continuously bring up, right? I can see the benefit and the potential of, a graphic dashboard that links, right, to every file, every photo, every contract report, every maintenance log, every sales order that you have on any given job. And it's a concept that applies to every stakeholder in a construction project, right? From the developer to the architect to the engineer, the GCs, the subs, and finally, even it's a great turnover tool, right, to the owners for their operation and management, or the O&M as we call it, on their facility. There's literally no one in the project life cycle that can't benefit from developing these graphic dashboards. Where I've struggled with it is in two particulars, right? First, how do you integrate all the different systems on a large project into something that can be easily developed and then updated by people who aren't computer geniuses, right? Guys who aren't, spending their lives working in this software. And second, how do we turn this concept into some type of billable service at a reasonable rate and maintain a long-term relationship with clients to update and manage, their data across a multi-year life cycle from, design concept all the way out to, ongoing, the O&M. Well, I would love to tell you guys that I have finally solved these issues, but in reality, I didn't. I actually ran across other folks who are way smarter than me who actually solved it for me. And before I explain that, I want to just kind of get Rocco's input on this topic. So, what's been the take on project dashboards in terms of our clients, right? Is it something most people are even aware of or considering or thinking about?
No, it's not. I don't think that they really even understand it or know what's capable of being done. So I think it's, I've suggested it to you. I think it's something we need to you got to visually see it, right?
Yeah.
And then understand the true value of it. So
yeah, you got to visually see it. So we chose to talk about it on a podcast. We're brilliant. Yes, good job, us.
You got to start somewhere.
Got to start someplace. That's true. But yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do videos. So you want to see this stuff in action. You're absolutely right there. And I think you're right as well. Right, most people just don't consider it. They just look at it in terms of, well, I guess maybe that's something that somebody does somewhere. and they don't see it as something that is pressing and needed for them. And that's kind of where we have to market and kind of change that belief structure.
Yeah, but the other thing is, and we'll get more into this, right? But it's also about organization and automation. That's what this is
absolutely
about. So.
Yeah, it's 100% about that. It's about really, repetitive process and putting things into a structure that makes you more efficient. And that's really what it is. You're absolutely right. So, okay. So,
I'm always right.
You're always right. Fair enough. Except when you're at home, in which case your wife tells you you're always wrong. And she's right. So, either way. Well, she's always right. You know she is because you don't want to argue with her. She scares you. Let's face it, Jamie scares me too, but my wife scares me. All wives are scary. That's kind of the nature of wives. It's what they do. So.
Wow, way to go, Jim. Now we just lost a female audience.
Yeah. Well, listen, if the people out there listening, don't realize by this point that I'm just a knucklehead, shame on them. They know I just say dumb things. So, all right. Oh, yeah. So my two problems, right? So I had two problems with this. So to solve my two problems, we actually happened to run into two distinct situations in just the last week, actually, that gave me the answers that I needed. The first was actually a client of ours who I had trained and worked with to show them how they could develop a project dashboard for, one of their really big jobs they had, right? And originally, they didn't want us to do the work. They just wanted to handle it in-house, and they just kind of wanted me to, point them in the right direction, show them how to do it and some of the basic concepts, which I did, no problem. And that was about a year or so back. And they just came back to me last week, because they want to have Zentech take over, the finalization and the ongoing maintenance of that particular project because, the guy who was in charge of it, who I trained, he's kind of moved on to bigger and better things within the company. And it gave me a really good look at how someone had taken my training and built a real practical application from it. And I really have to say that it just impressed the hell out of me. It was amazing what they had done. So it gives me that idea of like, how does this work on a real large project? The second answer on kind of, how to build a business model around developing these dashboards came in the form of a consultant that Zentech is looking to partner with on a number of different items to both of our benefit. And the owner of the other firm, who I am actually hoping, Rocco, to have on the podcast in the future as a guest. I think he'd be a great guest, so make sure we remember to reach out to him. He showed me how he had begun doing this particular type of dashboard work for a large number of his clients, and they are just eating it up. He can barely keep ahead of the demand. His concept is it's a flat fee for creating a master template. Right, and then a monthly subscription to both host and maintain the links and update the data for the life of the project. And his users can choose one, the other, or both options. I mean, it's just a simple, brilliant business approach. So Rocco, right, you're familiar with both, the client and the other consultant here. As a kind of a non-technical guy, what do you think of what's your opinion of their concepts and procedures, right? Is it something that you can see adapting? Even like so moving out of AAC right into the standpoint of like running a company like Zentech and maybe applying it for our own work.
Well, I mean, any business owner, the idea of having steady income, guaranteed steady income is ideal. That's what everybody wants, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to look at your expenses, but if I were to say to you, hey, you're guaranteed to get $30,000 a month, that's pretty sweet. It help having a guarantee every month is what everybody wants. Absolutely. Not that easy to get, but it's ideal.
Yeah, it is. It's a perfect situation. I mean, and, let's face it, $30,000 a month, that's not much for Rocco. But for me, who can barely afford to buy my daily coffee because of Rocco, that would be a nice little income. I'd be very happy with that. So yep. There you go. All right, so let me go back a little bit here, and let's talk about the client that we work with first. And I'm not going to give you their name, and I'm not going to give you any of their proprietary processes and such. But the overall workflow that they developed is really simple, right? They start with a master slide in a PDF format. right? And they graphically built it using PowerPoint and Visio just for the quality display options. And then they use Bluebeam, right, to create buttons, right, that link to every single region on their overall site. And when you click on one of those buttons, it opens up a site plan, right? PDF, right, of a site plan of that section of the site with every system, building, utility that links to another PDF, which contains buttons linking to the drawings, the contracts, the inspections, the reports, the warranties, really just about anything that you can imagine, right? And it's obviously it'll vary, from job to job, client to client, but it just continues from there, right? They've even gotten to the point where they've linked to external 3D BIM and scanning services. Or sites rather, for true visualization and control of the facility. All right, and they have plans for continuing this dashboard control for years to come on this project. This is going to be a long-term, project for them. And the beauty of this is that they can turn that master PDF, that single PDF file, over to the client, the owner of the site, and he never has to learn where are these files, right? Which servers do I have to connect to? How do I log into this cloud site? And, all of that, the permissions, everything are already in place before we link to it. And the great thing here is that the owner is paying them an annual hosting and updating fee, right? And all the facility management staff for this site ever has to do is click on pictures to get to where they need to go. Right? It's an absolutely brilliant design concept, and I think that it can be really just adapted for any workflow or any project. Right? It's not just the AEC market. You could do the same thing, for your accounting department if you needed to. Right? It's an absolutely brilliant way that this can work. Rocco, what do you think are the most likely markets here for us? Right? Are you looking at targeting, the people who should benefit from this most as facility managers? Do you think it's going to be GCs, design firms, property managers? What do you think is the sweet spot where this is really going to have a big payoff?
I mean, we work more heavily with GCs and people in the design areas. Mm-hmm. So it's a yes there, but I really think that it could be used, across the board, right? I mean, I think there's value for everybody. Because again, it comes down to automation and organization.
Okay. No, I agree. It can go just about any route that you need it to. So the business model, right, that was proposed by our partner consultant, it really struck me as really just a great bit of business acumen on his part. So what he's doing, right, for a really affordable one-time fee, he'll take all of your current folders, files, documents, right, anything, and he'll tie it into a standardized dashboard using a template that he's already developed. Right? For him, it's just a plug and play kind of thing, and his clients get their dashboard for minimal cost. And that's good, right? But he takes it a step further, and he gives them the opportunity to develop a fully customized dashboard that is totally specific to their company and their needs. Again, at a nominal cost, right? Provided, and here's the kicker, it's provided that they agree to at least a 1-year subscription where he not only updates and handles all the controls of the dashboard, but he also hosts the data, all right, and handles all the linking. All right, this way, he knows that everything's getting done properly, without errors, without issues, without people deleting things they shouldn't delete, and the client doesn't have to worry about unexpected fees, unexpected problems, things that aren't getting updated and lost, because the subscription that he's charging, it's completely all inclusive of updates and changes and the cloud-based file hosting. Right? Everything's included. It's a one-shot deal. Pay your monthly fee, and he will take care of whatever you have, updates, revisions, changes. And like I said earlier, I really want to have this consultant on the show to talk about the areas that he's working in and how his system is working for him. So, Rocco, what do you think? Is that a model that you think can work for us and other clients? Can it be adapted to a broader market than he's servicing and be viable?
Yeah, I think it's just about showing people how it's done. It's like I said, it's a big visual thing. So, You got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's also having those standard templates, right? That you can give, that people can adapt for any business on their own if they really want to, and being able to show them this is how this works, and we can change it and build it and customize it to whatever you need it to do. I think that'll be an impressive visual for them, and it'll make things go a lot smoother in those conversations. So, all right, so let's take a break here. And when we get back, I want to discuss, what the dashboard process is and how it really benefits our listeners, okay? So hang in, folks. We'll be back in just a minute with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. Hello, everybody. This is Jim and Rocco with Zentech Consultants, and we wanted to talk to you today about Bluebeam Review, the premier quantity takeoff estimating and markup software for PDF out there on the market today. And at Zentech, we are a premier Bluebeam partner here in the U.S. We're here to help you guys with all your Bluebeam needs, from software sales to training, consulting, configuration, and everything in between in all things Bluebeam, from the standard version to the extreme version and anything else you might need. So, in terms of Bluebeam, Rocco, how do people reach out to us if they want to start that conversation?
Yeah, just hit up our website, give us a ring, or send us an email. Or through Osmosis, that works too.
Osmosis is good.
Yeah, zentechconsultants.net or sales@zentechconsultants.net, or give us a ring, 866-824-4459.
All right, Zentech Consultants, your home for all of your Bluebeam software needs. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cattle Call Podcast, where we are talking about dashboards for project control, primarily in the AEC space, because that's what most of you guys are, but it can adapt to anything. And in this half of the show, I kind of want to talk about the benefits I see to project dashboards and why everybody should really be working with, or at least working towards, dashboarding all of their jobs. And the first thing I want to clarify here is that we are not just talking about document control, right? Which I think is where a lot of people go, I don't really need that. Modern dashboards give you the capability to interconnect not just your files, but all of your data and all of your support sites as well. You think about this, right? Do you want to link to a central BIM model? Not a problem. Do you need you guys are running a pricing calculation website that you subscribe to? Not a problem. All right? You got a project management tool like Procore? Not a problem, right? Do you want to, be able to just click a button and send emails or track changes, play instructional videos? All of that can be dashboarded. Hell, you can even link to the Cattle Call Podcast and keep folks entertained while they're working. They can always have fun laughing at Rocco and I. There really is no limit to what you can do here. The idea is to create one master data and communication center for your project that doesn't require, searching and training to be able to find anything. Folks just click on clearly labeled buttons and pictures to get everything you want them to have or everything you want them to do in moments. The big business benefit here is that it saves you, whether you're a GC, an architect, an engineer, or anything else, it saves you a ton of time throughout the job, right? And that's great. But to my mind, the true benefit here is the final deliverable, okay? Turning a fully developed dashboard over to your client at the end of the job is going to give you way more benefits than you think. These dashboards can become a major revenue stream, and they will almost guarantee a gateway to additional work. And we're going to talk more about that. But Rocco, how many folks that you talk to see the turnover of the dashboard data to the owner as a real big business benefit, right? And I know you're not talking to a ton of people about the dashboards, but the ones who you are, do you find that most folks still think of it as kind of an unnecessary expense that just doesn't, that all it does is it gives their people some convenience, so it's not worth investing in it?
No, they're interested in the concept. They're interested in learning more. It's something that's of interest.
Okay, all right. Boy, you're just not giving me anything here today, man. You really need more coffee. You're just giving me yes and no answers today, man. How am I supposed to have a conversation with you if you don't have enough caffeine in your system?
What?
What? All right, I'll drink more coffee for both of us. All right, so, like I said, developing these, I kind of pointed out that developing these dashboards was a business benefit, okay? But I didn't really explain how, all right? So let's get into that. So look at it like this, right? When you bid a job, right, you can include the dashboard creation and delivery at project completion as part of your proposal, right? And that's a very nice value added type of item, that can help you close jobs. Sure, it's a good thing. The big thing, though, is that the owners are going to see the real world value of these immediately, all right? And they're going to want them continuously hosted and updated for facility management, capital improvements, O&M. And that's another revenue stream for your company, all right? And a long-term one that requires minimal effort on your part, right? I mean, especially if you sub out to, a consultant like Zentech, right? We could do that for you. You just pass it on, right? And, obviously pad it out, get a little profit for yourself. But imagine, right, as a contractor or designer, right, something that you guys don't get right now. Imagine getting monthly fees from every single job that you ever work on forever, okay? That's huge, right? Now, the real power, I think, though, comes when it's time to modify or add on to or renovate the facility that you're hosting the dashboard for, right? Who is the owner going to go to for that work, right? Do they want to go through the whole open bid process and bringing people on? Or if it's, do they just want to let the people who have all the existing dashboard information, all the construction data, all the facility data, all the knowledge of the site, do they just want to go, here's the next addition, here's the renovation for the 10th floor, just do it. You've got all the data, you've been handling it all. It's so much easier for them to just say, you're the guy, you're my guy, you know what we're doing, you've been working this job for years, just keep rolling with it, all right? And I think that maintaining these dashboards for your clients almost guarantees you additional work for years to come, right? And think of this too, right? Seriously, we're a boom bust industry. It's just the nature of construction. And when that next bust comes, and it will, it always does, right? Who is going to survive it better, right? The traditional, one and done contact with a client firm, or the ones maintaining billable and ongoing dashboard support as a client service. Even if they're tightening budgets and they're not adding on or building, they're going to want you to keep hosting that. That additional revenue stream makes a huge difference in the difference for companies in those bust economies. Rocco, right? Your background, you come a lot from the manufacturing facility operations side, and then you spent a bunch of years working AEC and construction with me at a couple of different places now. How vital a concept are these dashboards for owners and operators for facilities and buildings and sites? Is it as important as I think it is?
I think it is important, and I mean you think about all the files, right, that people have stored, and I don't know, a lot of the times larger firms are more organized, right? They have a lot of different systems in place, but you look at your small and medium-sized firms, and it's, with all due respect to everybody, right? I mean, we're all doing the best that we can, right? But I mean, there's just so many files that go along with each individual job, let alone if you're involved in 10, 20, 30 different jobs, So the fact that you can have all this stuff organized under one dashboard and be able to, to access that data is much more easily in a much more organized fashion, I think is huge.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. And I will say this, though, right? I'll kind of throw a caveat onto that you're absolutely right, that those larger corporations, they have systems in place for handling, large-scale document and access. But I think that the issue there is that those systems, they're not easy to use. In other words, if they're using, like Autodesk Vault or ProjectWise from Bentley or some of the other, advanced, PM, project management and document control tools, you have to install that on people's systems. It's specialized software. You've got to set and control permissions. You've got to get IT involved, and people have to be trained. You have to build workflows. It's very organized, but it's also very time consuming. Versus what we're talking about here is a basic dashboard, right? You give people a PDF and say, click on pictures. It's literally it. There's no training required. So I think that's kind of the benefit of a dashboard over an organized, document management system in this kind of a case. So, like I say, dashboards, they're actually created, right, using tools like Bluebeam Review, right, which allows for, simple linking and integrating of a lot of different data. Rather than trying to get involved in one of those Uber control systems, right? They can be hosted on simple platforms that everybody has, like SharePoint Online, right? So that they can be accessed, 24/7, 365 from anywhere, anytime, while still giving, proper security along with, change tracking and reporting, right? That's all basic stuff that can be handled with the dashboards rather than these super expensive softwares. Another great thing, right? They can be very easily, once you develop these PDFs, they can be easily converted to web-based interfaces, right? Whether it's at the SharePoint level for like a company intranet, or if you need to add public access for certain public work jobs, right? You have to expose it to the community at large, and you can do that from these dashboards without having to worry about sign-ins and creating VPN access points and global security controls and blah blah blah. All right, you can just use the dashboards. You can use these dashboards for internal company review purposes, right? For ordering materials, for maintenance tracking, what has to be done, what's been accomplished, what's the service history on this piece of equipment. You can do it for inventory controls, facility management systems, and like I say, they can even be built to activate not just your files, right, but to run entirely different programs on demand, right? You click on it, it runs AutoCAD. Click on it, it runs, whatever other program you need, a Microsoft project or whatever you have going on. Modern dashboard structures, I think, can be adapted to just about any workflow process that you can imagine. And they all pay for themselves, right? The investment you got to put in up front, it pays for itself just by eliminating the countless man hours we spend, browsing to, searching for, scrolling down to find the information that we need. And I think that, beyond that, they can provide a solid revenue stream for your business and help you land just an endless amount of work without having to search for and bid and compete against every competitor that you have. You've got the inside track with these dashboards. Look, now that I have had smarter people than I am answer my own business difficulties here in getting this type of work going, project dashboard creation and hosting is a new business line that we will definitely be delving into here at Zentech. And it's one that I think is really going to help every single one of our clients and every single one of our listeners here on the podcast. So Rocco, for a change, right, just because you're half asleep and haven't had enough coffee, I'm going to give you the last word on the podcast today. How do people reach out and contact us if they want to get started with project dashboards for their company? That'll be an easy one for you.
Well, for one, don't call the knucklehead. Just call me. All right.
I agree. Don't call the knucklehead. Call Rocco.
No, you can hit our website, zentechconsultants.net. Or you can call me at 866-824-4459, or drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
There you go. There's the info. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it there for today. Thanks for listening once again to our crazy and inane ramblings, and we will catch you next time on the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody, today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net, or you can even call us 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from you all.